Night gathers, and now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death. I shall take no wife, hold no lands, father no children. I shall wear no crowns and win no glory. I shall live and die at my post. I am the sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the fire that burns against the cold, the light that brings the dawn, the horn that wakes the sleepers, the shield that guards the realms of men. I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch, for this night and all nights to come. What's going on, everybody? This is Throne Runner back again here with another deck building video. This one is one that I've been having a lot of fun with. I can't take all of the credit for it, so shout out to Joe from Cincinnati who enlightened me and showed me what the Night's Watch can do. For those who may have seen it on Reddit, I posted an article or whatever you call a Reddit post. I made a Reddit post looking for people that were interested in having matches against me, not using Octagon, but using a webcam and Skype. And so a couple people were interested. Joe was one of them. And so one night this week, I can't remember what day it was. I think it might have been Thursday night. Him and we set up our cameras and microphones and headsets, and we played, I think, 3 or 4 matches over Skype, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, we talked about it afterwards, how it's so much more personal than Octagon is. Octagon, it kind of feels like you're playing against the computer, because essentially that's all that you're doing. Your opponent's responding to you via text, and it's not really as fun as it is to play face to face. And so this method of play kind of fixes that problem and keeps it very interesting. You know, you're able to crack jokes and stuff during the game, and the game flows a lot easier. So we played a couple matches like that. Had a lot of fun with it. He was playing a unbelievable Night's Watch deck that was so good that at the end of it I had to ask him if he wouldn't mind sharing it. He did share it with me, and I made the tweaks and changes that I saw fit. And so again, shout out to him for that before we jump into it, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. I guess the reason why I found this deck so interesting is because of the fact that previous decks that I've built obviously have all been aggro. That's the type of player that I am. I really enjoy aggro. I really enjoy being on the offensive, and basically just trying to keep my opponent on their heels at all time. And seeing this deck was pretty much the opposite of that. It was very defensive. It puts your opponent in a position where they're not really comfortable being as Game of Thrones players for the most part. And so yeah, it was just very intriguing, and I thought that I would test it out myself. Like I said, make my own changes and play the deck the way that I like it to be, or would like it to be played. And so this is what I ended up coming up with here. So this is a Night's Watch deck, Banner of the Wolf, so banner to House Stark, and we're gonna jump right into it. So this deck has a lot of characters in it. Obviously, you're going to want to protect the wall, whose card text pretty much cancels out what the wall does if you lose an unopposed challenge. So you want to have enough characters in the deck that you're able to oppose whatever your opponent throws at you, even if they have stealth out on the board. So we'll start off, as we always do, with the characters. There are 3 copies of Arya Stark, and she has stealth. While she has a duplicate, she gains a military icon, and you're able to play the top card of your deck face down on her to give her a dupe as her reaction when she comes into play. There are 3 copies of her, so don't be afraid to put Arya out in setup excuse me, and hope to see her duplicates later on, if that's your only option. Like if you mulligan into a bad start and you feel like, you know, you'd rather just spend that 3 gold in setup and not have to spend it later, that's always still a good idea. This is the type of deck, like I said, it has so many characters in it that you're not going to be too worried if you put Arya into play and the dupe that you put on her is, I don't know, a card that you thought you needed. you'll likely find whatever it is you need regardless. So don't be afraid to pop her reaction here. I know I said in the Stark video that I don't like her reaction. I still don't like it, but in this deck, it's not as important. So 3 copies of Arya Stark. Next we have Benjin. Benjin is an all-star. Each ranger character you control cannot be bypassed by stealth. When Benjin Stark is killed, gain 2 power for your faction, then shovel him back into your deck instead of placing him in your dead pile. He costs 5. He has a military and a power icon and 4 strength. Excuse me, I'm getting a little sick here. He is a fantastic card. Like I said, you have the wall out and you don't want to lose any unopposed challenges. And so obviously the easiest way for your opponent to get some unopposed on you would be to bypass defenders using stealth. So when you have Benjin Stark out, they're unable to do that now unless they figure out a way to blank his card via Milk of the Poppy. But until that point, he's very strong and very, very defensive. And then at the end of the day, if he does get killed, he's only going to end up giving you 2 power for your house and getting you that much closer to the win before being shuffled back into your deck. So I love Benjin. I can't say enough about this card. He's won games for me when my opponent has tried to Wildfire, not realizing that I had 13 or 14 power. It's just an automatic win because you choose him as claim, regardless of if he's duped or if he has, if he's duped or bodyguarded or whatever. It's your choice if you want to use the save. You don't have to use it. So that's 2 free power if your opponent makes a mistake like that. So that's 3 copies of Benjin Stark, 3 copies of Bran Stark. When the effects of an opponent's event would initiate, sacrifice Bran Stark to cancel those effects. He's a 2-cost power icon and has 1 strength. And again, his ability is pretty straightforward. What he does for you is pretty straightforward. If your opponent tries to play a Put to the Sword or a Tears of Lists to try to get certain characters off the board, you simply just discard Bran Stark or sacrifice him from play, which means he goes to your discard pile to cancel the effects of those events. Moving on, we've got Jon Snow. Jon Snow costs 6. He has an intrigue icon and 4 strength, no attachments except weapon. While Jon is standing, he's considered to be participating in each challenge in which you control another attacking Night's Watch character. A lot of you are already aware of the crazy synergy that he has with Longclaw. Longclaw gives +1 strength, and it also gives whoever it's attached to renown. So you pretty much just have Jon on your board, have Longclaw on him, and any challenge that you win that was initiated and has a Night's Watch character in the challenge, not only does Jon contribute now 5 strength automatically, or 6 strength if you have the wall, but he's also collecting renown for every time that you win. So he is a great card. He can't be Milk of the Poppy because he has no attachments except weapon, and it's something that your opponent has to strongly consider as the match continues. They're going to do whatever they can to either get Jon off the board or get rid of Longclaw, and that's only going to give you more opportunities to meet your win conditions. So 2 copies of Jon. Next, we've got 2 copies of Littlefinger. Everyone knows how important Littlefinger is. There aren't enough Littlefingers in the core sets. After you marshal Littlefinger, draw 2 cards, and he gives you +1 income. He has that intrigue icon, a power icon. Only costs 5. You can use a noble cause on him. I find that I use a noble cause on him in this deck a lot. That +1 gold bonus definitely pays off because of the fact that Night's Watch doesn't have any reducing locations. They only have the reducing characters. So you want to see this guy and you want to get him on the board whenever you can. Not to mention the draw that's going to help you find the wall, that's going to help you find Castle Black, etc. Next, the real MVP. So I said Benjin Stark was MVP. I'll give Benjin I'll give him the most improved player award, but the MVP is Maester Aemon. Maester Aemon, who we have 3 copies of, is unbelievable. Not only does he have no attachments, so you can't even milk this guy, but his ability is Interrupt. When a Night's Watch character would be killed, kneel Maester Aemon to save it. Unbelievable. So first of all, 1 claim plots. Your opponent does military to try to, get some Night's Watch off the board. Your 1 claim, you say, okay, I'm going to claim Maester Aemon, and I'm going to kneel Maester Aemon to save Maester Aemon. Unbelievable. Unless they cancel his ability, which can happen if your opponent's playing, for example, Lannister, and they play Treachery, then it would suck that at that point. But if you get Maester Aemon out on the table and you get him duped, or find all of his cards, so all 3 of them, a triplicate, I guess you'd say, then he becomes an unstoppable force on the board. He just saves everybody. I mean, he can't save you from a march to the wall, and he can't save you from a wildfire assault, but your opponent can't play those every turn. So he's going to do a lot of work for you on the board. I mulligan very, very, very aggressively for Maester Aemon. I want to see him in setup or turn one every single game. And the new plot, I can't remember what it's called. I don't know how to do with the Conclave. I might be mixing up with 1.0, but the new plot that allows you to search your deck for a Maester and put it into play is going to mean that everyone playing this deck is going to get Maester Aemon out very, very quickly, and it's going to cause problems for your opponent. So your opponent is going to want to do whatever they can to get enough claim to eventually get him off the board. And like I said, it's very, very difficult. If he's duped, it pretty much gives you free reign to do whatever you want, put out whoever you want, and sort of flood the board, knowing that your opponent has to have a claim of 1 plus a put to the sword if he wants to get rid of somebody, or it has to be claim 2 and put the sword if he wants to get rid of 2 people. So it makes it very difficult, and it really, really helps you on defense, because now you know that you're able to just throw in a chump with like 1 or 2 strength to block a military challenge, knowing that you're going to lose, just to kneel Maester Aemon and save himself or somebody else. Not only that, but if there's an intrigue challenge and you have Castle Blackout, you're able to kneel Maester Aemon for defense, kneel Castle Black, which bumps him by 2, so he'll be at 4, and then he'll stand again. So you can use him on defense, and then you can use him to save a character. Unbelievable. I can't say enough about this card. So 3 copies of him, 100%, and do your best to get him in setup. So that's Maester Aemon. Next we have 3 Messenger Ravens. 1 cost, 1 strength. They have no icons, no attachments, so they can't be Milk of the Poppied either, which is great. Return Messenger Raven to your hand. Return Messenger Raven to your hand to draw 1 card. So this is the card draw engine in Night's Watch. You have to be wary of the fact that the ability says that you return Messenger Raven to your hand. So if you play 3 Messenger Ravens and your reserve is 5 and you have 4 cards in hand, and you decide that you're going to take up all 3 of these Messenger Ravens, now you're going to have 7 cards with just the Ravens. You're going to draw another 3, so that'll put you to 10 cards, and then you have to drop a whole bunch of cards to meet your reserve. So just remember that these come back to your hand. They don't go to discard, or they don't just not count while they're in your hand. You have to consider that and how many cards you're going to pick up, and then meet your reserve after. Some people might be happy with, having three Ravens out, picking all 3 of them up, and then just discarding all 3 Ravens. But I would strongly advise against that. You want to keep them flowing in the game to help you get through your deck that much quicker. So don't make the mistake of drawing too much and having to drop very, very useful cards. Moving on, we've got the Ranging Party, another card that I love. The Night's Watch cards are just really, statistically, I like the numbers and how high the strength is and how they have no attachments. It just makes it very, very fun to play. So we've got the Ranging Party, 4 gold, a military icon, a power icon, and 5 strength. No attachments except weapon, although, I mean, no one would really try to milk them because there's no point. But no attachments except weapon means that they can benefit from Longclaw. And I've had Longclaw on them to win a couple of games. I've had Longclaw on like Waymar Royce. I've had Longclaw on Jon Snow. I mean, whoever you put Longclaw on, it's going to do work for you. So these guys are great. Not only do they have very, very high strength, but they're rangers as well. So that means that if Benjin Stark is out, they cannot be bypassed by stealth. Very important. Keep that in mind. Next, we got 1 copy of Samwell Tarly. I would love to have 2 copies of Sam, because again, he has insight, which is going to get you that draw. 2 gold, 1 intrigue. Sorry, 2 gold and intrigue icon, 1 strength, and insight, and he gives you +1 to reserve. So Sam on the board with the Messenger Ravens is great because now you're able to keep an extra card. Although having Sam out by himself, he's not really going to get to trigger that insight too much. He kind of relies on having Jon out on the board, which is very thematic. Him and Jon, they're very, very good buddies. And whenever Sam kind of gets down or depressed or scared, it's always Jon that bumps him up. So he needs Jon out in order to trigger that insight most of the time. I've also seen a lot of people who drop a long claw on Sam, and now Sam has 2 strength, 3 with the wall, and insight, and renown, and he just does work for some reason. So I would like to get an extra copy of him, but for now it's just gonna stay at 1. My draw has been pretty good just having the 3 messenger ravens. But again, you know, Sam is Sam, and having a unique Night's Watch character that you could potentially dupe is always good as well. Next, we've got Sansa Stark. Funny thing with Sansa. So in the Stark video, I said that I would never, ever in a million years use a noble cause to put Sansa Stark into play. That statement does not hold true for this deck. Sansa's ability, reaction, after Sansa Stark stands, gain 1 power for your faction, and she enters play knelt. That statement that I said was for decks where you're going to be faced with situations where you have ladies and lords that are so much better to put into play than Sansa is. For example, Arya Stark or Rob Stark, Ned Stark, whoever have you. But if I see Sansa in my hand in this deck and I still have a noble cause to play, I usually drop a noble cause out and get that -2 off her to get her into play, because she has so much synergy in this deck with the locations that we're going to see in a second. So I'm going to leave that there for now. Just remember that after she stands, she gets 1 power. I'm going to leave that there, and we're going to come back and discuss that after we've looked at the locations in the deck. She's got an intrigue icon and a power icon, so again, she's very nice to use to make sure that your opponent doesn't get that unopposed. So 3 copies of her, 2 copies of Sir Waymar Royce. He's a knight, he's a ranger, again, cannot be bypassed by stealth if Benjin Stark's out. He costs 3, he has a military icon, a power icon, and 3 strength. When Sir Waymar Royce is killed, discard 1 card at random from each opponent's hand. I don't really care for his ability, I just care for his stats. So he's a Bicon that's 3 for 3 that cannot be bypassed by stealth with Benjin, and he can also make great use of Longclaw. So there isn't too much more to say about that guy. Moving on to the Steward at the Wall, obviously 3 copies because they're your reducer. Funny thing to mention, they are the only reducer, if I'm not mistaken, that has an intrigue icon instead of a power icon out of any faction, or at least out of the majority of the factions. I'm pretty sure that the most of them only have power. These guys have intrigue, which is awesome because it just gives you that much more to use on intrigue defense, and they cost so little that if your opponent has Varys out or Tyrion out with stealth intrigue, they're gonna have to target all these little weenies, and you're still gonna have someone up that's gonna be able to defend on the intrigue. Not only will they be able to defend still, but now when the turn flips back to you, because you're gonna want to be second player a lot, you're able to push through an unopposed intrigue challenge with 1 strength. It's a beautiful thing. Moving on, we've got the Tumblestone Knight. Tumblestone Knight. I'm glad that I found a real use for this guy in throwing him into this deck, because I do plan to obviously hit a bunch of game nights, and so I'm gonna have all these Tumblestone Knight promos, and I guess now he has found himself a home. So Tumblestone Knight, for what it's worth, is still a great card. It's a 2 for 2 for 2 icons, which statistically, I mean, that's good. You can get them out easily in setup. You can get them out at any point in the game, really. And they're, again, going to help you on defense. They're going to help you on offense and just give you a little something extra give your opponent a little something extra to think about in terms of board state and winning challenges. And then not only that, but you can use them for claim and not feel too bad about it. It sucks that Maester Aemon only can save Night's Watch. It sucks, but it's fair. I mean, if you could save anybody, that would be kind of ridiculous. But these guys are great to have. I can't say enough about how nice it is to have a card out of faction that costs so little, so that you're able to play a Tumblestone Knight and then play a Night's Watch character of 4 gold right afterwards. Very, very useful card. A very nice utility card in this deck. So that's 34 characters, and the last 3 are the veteran builders. No attachments except weapon again. Action, sacrifice veteran builder to choose and stand a location. Obviously, some locations that you're going to want to choose and stand are the wall and Castle Black. New players might not know what those do yet, but we're going to get there in just a second. He costs 3. He has 4 strength and a power icon. This 4 strength for power challenges really comes in handy, especially when you have the wall out. He's going to be at 5 strength automatically, and then again you can target him with Castle Black and defend power challenges with 7 while he's standing. Unbelievable. 3 copies of him. I'm feeling that I wouldn't mind dropping 1 copy of the builder, going down to 2, and grabbing a copy of either Varys, just for, you know, those games when you feel like you might need him, because there are a lot of dupes in this deck. You would be able to recover from Varys fairly well, I would think, and just a way to kind of reset the board if things are going not going your way and your opponent has a lot of stealth out on the board, or Balin Greyjoy or something on the board. Then a Varys would be nice. The only thing is Varys does cost a lot at 6 gold, so another option would be a Rattleshirts to get rid of an attachment on the board. At 4 strength, they aren't too bad. Sorry, 4 gold, they aren't too bad to get into play. Yes, they only have the military icon, but you're able to win military pretty easily with things like the Ranging Party and Jon Snow, who's going to contribute his strength to the military challenges anyways, to get rid of, not milk of the poppies, because a lot of your characters have no attachments anyway, so you're not really worried about getting milked. You're more so worried about your opponent playing things like the Seal of the Hand, or Heart's Bane, Widow's Wail, Little Birds, whatever have you. Rattleshirts Raider is going to help you to limit what they can do on their side of the board. So there's a chance that I might switch that up a little bit, but so far it's been going okay with the veteran builders. So those are the characters, 37 of them. Attachments are pretty easy. It's just Longclaw, 2 of them, and 3 Milk of the Poppies. Everyone knows what milk does. It just treats the attached characters' text box as if it were blank, so that cancels out text, that cancels out gold bonuses, reserve bonuses, any bonus whatsoever. And then Longclaw, which can only be given to Night's Watch characters, and it's a weapon. And again, if you remember, almost, or I guess all of the Night's Watch characters that have the no attachments wording have no attachments except weapons. So you can put Longclaw on almost anyone. It only costs 2 to come into play. You can't ambush it, so it has to be in marshalling, which kind of gives away your strategy in that sense. But it's still a great card, +1 strength, and gives renown to whoever you want. So that's that. The locations, we've got 3 copies of Castle Black. Kneel Castle Black to choose and stand a defending Night's Watch character. Until the end of the challenge, that character gets +2 strength. So not only do you get a buff in strength, but you also get to defend the challenge and stand up, which means that if you have a character like the Ranging Party, we'll go back here, like the Ranging Party, you can defend a military challenge for 5, Kneel Castle Black, and now you're defending it with 7 but standing, and then they live to fight another day, so they can defend now a power challenge as well. Thing to remember is that Castle Black only works for the challenge. It's not till the end of the phase, so that +2 would go away when you go to block that second challenge now. So 3 copies of Castle Black, King's Road and Rose Road, obviously for econ. We know what those do, so I won't spend any time on those. And then 3 copies of the Wall for each Night Watch. Each Night's Watch character you control gets +1 strength. Forced reaction: after you lose an unopposed challenge, kneel the wall. Interrupt: when the challenge's phase ends, kneel the wall to gain 2 power for your faction. So this is why you want to be able to have enough characters on the board that you're always going to be drawing, in your deck, that you're always going to be drawing into characters and playing out characters every turn, so that your opponent cannot get any unopposed challenges on you. If they're not able to get an unopposed challenge on you, regardless of if you make any challenges and win or lose, you're going to get 2 power for the wall at the end of the challenges phase. Now, your opponent does have the option to spend 1 gold and play a treachery if they have a unique Lannister character out to cancel the wall, but technically they can only do that 3 times, and they need to have a unique Lannister character out on the board, so that's not something that you really need to worry about. Even if the wall is knelt, you're still gonna get that +1 strength. So if you lose an unopposed challenge, don't feel too disheartened, because at the end of the day, your characters are still getting that nice buff. And if you have a veteran builder out on the board, you're able to sacrifice the veteran builder to restand the wall anyways, and potentially get that 2 power still. Key things to remember: you cannot have 3 veteran builders out on the board, for example. Kneel the wall, gain 2 power, sacrifice a veteran builder, stand the wall, kneel it again, gain 2 power, and keep doing that for a total of, I guess that would be 8 power. You can't do that. You can only do it once. But even still, it works very, very well, and I'll tell you why this is a great thing to have. So you have the wall, and you also have 2 copies of the Iron Throne, which gives you +1 reserve, which is going to help with the Messenger Ravens, but it contributes 8 strength to your total for dominance. So in a turn, let's say, where you don't do anything but block your opponent's challenges, so you block their intrigue, you block the military, you block a power, you have Sansa Stark out. So at the end of the challenges phase, you're going to get +2 power for the wall. Then you're going to count dominance, and more often than not, you're going to win dominance because of the Iron Throne, and because of the fact that you have so many characters that you don't need to kneel everyone. You're just chump blocking. So you're going to win dominance. That's 3 power. And then Sansa Stark is going to stand for 4 power. So in a turn where you did nothing, you didn't win any challenges, let's say, or initiate any challenges, really. You just kind of sat back, made sure that you're playing defense, and outsmarting your opponent on the defensive side. You gain 4 power in that turn if you have all these pieces out, which is unbelievable. Now, if you throw in something like a Feast for Crows, you're going to get an additional 2 power for winning dominance. So that's going to put you up to 6 power for just 1 turn. 6 power for 1 turn, and if you have enough characters out, you play Wildfire the next turn, and that's 8 power right there for killing Benjin Stark if you had him on the board. So you can get 8 power between the end of the challenges phase and the beginning of the plot phase. 8 power. I'm pretty sure my math is correct there, because I mean it wasn't too difficult. But 8 power. So 1 for dominance, 1 for Sansa, 2 for the wall, and then 3 for 1 for Sansa, 2 for the wall, 1 for dominance, and then you're gonna get the power from whatever the heck that plot was called, A Feast for Crows. So I believe that's 7, and I said 8 before. Either way, it's a lot of power. It's a lot of power. It's confusing me now. I just confused myself. Let's try that again. So 2 for Benjin, if we count Benjin for the Wildfire. So that's 2. A 3rd, 4th, and 5th for winning dominance and having A Feast for Crows out. 6th and 7th for the wall, and an 8th for Sansa. Yeah, it made sense. Sorry, it's pretty early in the morning right now, and the clocks went back and stuff, and I stayed up way too late. Anyways, so that's 14 locations, and then finally we have my favorite event, or one of my favorite events, a meager contribution. After an opponent collects income, move 1 gold from that player's gold pool to your own. So make sure that when you have this card in hand, put it to the very front of your hand so that you can see it and you don't forget to play it when your opponent collects income. The other thing is, when you play this card, you're not allowed to play it unless you say it with an accent. So when me and Rob play it, we always say, "A meager contribution, sir." And usually it's met with laughs. I don't think most people would blow a Hands of Judgment to cancel this unless they really, really, really needed that 1 gold to get something out. So a meager contribution always helps you. Even if you're the first player, and you have a meager contribution in your hand, some people would choose to try to save it until next turn so that they can, you know, get that extra gold to spend themselves. But you got to remember that you're taking gold away from your opponent, and you're taking away their ability to put something else on the board that might potentially hurt you. So even if I'm first player and I'm waiting for them to collect income on their marshalling, I still play the mere contribution, steal that gold. I don't really have anything that I can spend it on in challenges, but it is still nice to steal that from my opponent. So 3 of those, and then lastly 2 copies of the Hand's Judgment, which when the effects of an opponent's event would initiate, cancel those effects. X is that event's printed cost. So you have now 3 brands and 2 Hand's Judgment to cancel a total of 5 events potentially. Moving on to the plots, and I'll try not to take too long because I know this video slash podcast is running a little bit longer probably than usual. We've got a Feast for Crows. Sorry, where is that? We got a Feast for Crows. After you win dominance, gain 2 power for your faction. So you win dominance, get 1, and then the reaction pops off and you get an additional 2. That's how we got to the 8. The stats on it are great because Night's Watch does need a lot of gold to get their characters out, not having as many reducers as other factions. 6 gold, 1 initiative, 1 claim. You're not too worried about the initiative. Let your opponent choose. Who cares? Chances are they're going to try to go first anyways, which is going to help you. If not, and they make you go first, you always have the option of passing on your challenges just to make sure that you can defend the wall. The thing that sucks though is that the reserve on it is so low. However, I find that when I play this deck, I rarely have more than 4 cards in my hand anyway. Next, we've got a Noble Cause, and I think at this point everybody knows what that does. 5 gold though again, so that helps you get a lot of characters out, and reduces the cost of the First Lord or Lady by 2. Targets in this deck are Arya, Sansa, Littlefinger, Arya, Sansa, Littlefinger, and I believe that might be it. But still more than enough targets to use that on. Next, we have Calling the Banners. Choose an opponent, gain 1 gold for each character that player controls. This plot does a lot of work for me in terms of getting key things that I need out on the board, like the wall. I kind of let my opponent build up their board. I'm not too worried when they have, you know, a ton of characters out, because I can, like I said, still manage to block every challenge even though I might lose it. So I let them kind of build up their characters to about 4, maybe 5, and then I drop Calling the Banners, and that usually helps me get the wall out, Castle Blackout, and the Iron Throne if I haven't seen those in setup, or just to get more characters out on the board, like the ranging parties and Jon Snow, etc. So 1 copy of that. Next, we've got a Calm Over Westeros. Calm Over Westeros I usually save for either the game-winning turn for me. So if I've got, you know, about 10 or 11 power, and I know that I want to win on that turn with Sansa, the wall, and all of those shenanigans, I will save Calm Over Westeros for that, and call power so that my opponent is not able to steal any of mine. Or if I'm in a fragile state on the board and I have Maester Aemon out, and I think my opponent's going to play a 2-claim plot and go for military, so a la Winds of Winter or Sneak Attack, then I'll play Calm Over Westeros and call military, because Maester Aemon saves 1 person, and then Calm Over Westeros is going to get rid of that 2nd claim anyways. They can still play things like Put to the Sword or whatever, but it just saves you a lot of worry, I guess, in having your board get cleared out. Not only that, but it does have a gold of 5 on it, so a very nice card in this deck as well. Confiscation. Choose an attachment and discard it from play. This, as I said, you're not really too worried about having Milk of the Poppies on your characters. Most of your Night's Watch characters are no attachments. However, there are some important characters like Sansa Stark in the deck and Arya Stark who can be milked, so you can use the confiscation to get rid of the milk on those characters. Or if you're feeling like you're okay, you can use confiscation on an opponent's attachment, which I have done numerous times. Next, we got Filthy Accusations, and Filthy Accusations is choose and kneel a character. This I use on an opponent who has a very strong Renown character out on the board, and you know, obviously Renown wins them the game too. you're not able to defend and win every challenge. So a lot of the times you're just defending the challenge, still losing it, and they're collecting that renown and getting ever closer to winning. So I tend to use my filthy to kneel whichever character has the most renown power on it, or if a character just comes out and has renown on it from last turn, I'll use it then, and just to kind of buy myself a little bit more time to find a Milk of the Poppy with my Messenger Ravens or Samuel's Insight, and then milk that character if possible. So that would be the 6th plot, and then the last and 7th plot is the Wildfire. Each player chooses up to 3 characters he or she controls. Kill each character not chosen. Cannot be saved. 4/7/1. And just remember that Maester Aemon can't save a Wildfire target. So don't choose Maester Aemon as a target and think that you can kneel him to save Maester Aemon, because he cannot be saved in this instance. Another strategy for this, as I mentioned, is that there will be times when you'll be at 13 power going into the plot phase, and you'll have 4 characters out, and one of them is Benjin. Then you can just use Wildfire Assault on yourself, kill Benjin for the win. Again, right now the only real way to stop that would be if your opponent had treachery, and even still, they don't collect income at that point, so they wouldn't be able to play treachery on you, I guess, to cancel Benjin's ability. So you should be good in the plot phase in terms of getting rid of Benjin and getting that 2 power for the win, or even to get yourself to like 14 or 13 or whatever, knowing that it's a very high likelihood that you're going to be able to trigger the wall that turn or get a power for Sansa or Dominance. So those are the plots. These I'm still working on, and I know that what was I gonna say? I know that Joe is also working on it as well. He wants to make a spot for the new Maester plot, as I said. But currently, him and we are playing different plots, and I know that I'm going to change it up even a bit more. And our character composition is different, but we spoke about it last night, and he had said that pretty much all the changes I had made were changes that he had thought about or was considering to make as well. So it's pretty cool to see that both of us are in the same mind with that. So I hope that this deck has enlightened people and given them, I guess, more faith in the Night's Watch and has, I don't know, piqued your interest and made you maybe want to build this deck and try it out against your friends. I know that Joe would love it. He was saying that he would be excited if his deck became one of the archetypes that people were talking about. So I'm also posting gameplay footage of myself playing this deck yesterday in Hamilton. I played, I believe, 6 total games, 4 of them on camera. It won every single game against various different decks, including like Lannister No Agenda and stuff. I didn't get to play against a Baratheon deck, however, Baratheon Fealty, but it still did very well. At least one of those games, or the first game that gets uploaded, is going to have commentary. I don't know if I'll do commentary on all of them. I figure it's nice enough to have it on one so that you guys get an idea of what I was thinking and why I did certain things, and then if you watch the other games, you'll be fine. The audio on it is great. You can hear both players crystal clear. You can hear every action that we made and all of our intentions very, very clearly. So even if there is no commentary on those later ones, you should still be fine. Don't forget to check out thronerunner.com. That's where I post the articles for the videos and the podcast for them as well, for those who prefer to listen instead of watch the videos. Also, I have decided not to stream on Twitch anymore. All of my LCG streaming will be done on my YouTube channel. It's just easier that way. There's most of the subscribers that I have are on YouTube anyways, so I just figure it's easier just to do it that way, and you guys will be able to see it, and it uploads directly there in 1080p versus Twitch that limits the resolution. So there's that. Don't forget to follow on Twitter at ThroneRunner, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever have you, you can email me at throne.runner@gmail.com. And for those who still don't have core sets, the link to book depository is at the bottom of this video. For those of you that need it, remember there's no tax or shipping. So it's a great option for those who are unable to find core sets or live in a place that doesn't necessarily have them. Excuse me. So thanks again for watching. And I mean, it's so great that people do watch. Rob and I were talking about it yesterday, how we show up to these events and people recognize us before we even introduce ourselves, and talk about how, you know, they're so happy that we make these videos and how we got them into the game. So it means a lot, and I really, really appreciate it. And I know that Rob does too. It's a great feeling to be able to get new players into the game, because when we played 1.0 and the numbers were kind of dwindling, it did kind of suck that we weren't able to reach as many people as we wanted to. So thanks to everyone for that. And as long as you guys are in it, I'm going to be in it too, creating new content and trying to keep this thing rolling. So thank you again. I hope everybody has a fantastic Sunday. Don't forget, go Bengals. Go Bengals. No Pittsburgh Steelers fans allowed. Just kidding. I still love you guys, even if you like Pittsburgh, but that's not a good team to like because they're brutal. And that's that. So have a fantastic Sunday, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Don't forget to look out for the gameplay videos that are following, where I play against Rob using the Night's Watch deck and some other players from the Hamilton Toronto meta. So take care, guys. Peace out.